Earlier today, I got a chance to check out Furiosa. This is the newest film in the Mad Max saga. I've only seen, well, now three Mad Max films, that being a Furiosa, Fury Road, and the original. This is a movie where, you really don't know really much beyond that. In fact, all you really need to have seen is Fury Road. And guess what? You really don't even have to have seen Fury Road to watch this, because it's kind of a prequel to Fury Road, because I took somebody with me who hadn't seen any Mad Max movie, and this was their first Mad Max experience, and they were fine. So it's a movie that, could be an introduction to Mad Max. And in a way, this to me was a sort of introduction, because this is my first time seeing a Mad Max film in the theater. Because I really like Fury Road, but I never quite got the hype to it. And I think that a lot of that is because I never saw it in the theater, just because I was too young when that movie came out. And so now here I am, it's 10 years later, and I saw Furiosa. And I definitely feel like if I saw Fury Road in theaters at the age I am now, I would have like gushed over that movie. I've only ever watched it at home, and I've always thought the movie was very good, but maybe not quite as good as other people said it. But I still really like Fury Road at the end of the day. And so this movie, I honestly, personally, at the moment, I put it on par with Fury Road. A lot of people will also disagree with that, but at the same time, you have to keep in mind that this was the first time I saw a Mad Max film in theaters. If I saw them back to back and theaters had not seen Fury Road, I probably would be agreeing with the mass majority, but as I am feeling right now, I like Furiosa just as much. The cast in this movie is big superstars, that is Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth. And I've seen a lot of people say, like, where is Anya Taylor-Joy's, love for this? And it's all about Chris Hemsworth. Anya Taylor-Joy is the lead of the film. Here's the reason why. It's because Anya Taylor-Joy doesn't show up until an hour into the movie. Because this movie is told in a complete chronological order, because sometimes it's like, obviously you saw in the trailers, you would think it's flashbacks. No, it's actually her story is told from when she's a child to all the way up into the point where we see her in Fury Road. So this movie is told completely chronologically. So Anya Taylor-Joy, we really don't see her until much further in the movie. And I would argue that the reason why it's marketed as Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth as leads is because at the end of the day, he's really in it just as much, because obviously they don't switch out his actors. Another small thing I noticed with this movie is that, it follows her, of course, as she's growing up, but nobody around her really ages. There's this one older character that's part of Chris Hemsworth's gang, and he's just old, and he just stays really old and doesn't get any older. I'm just like, okay. Same thing kind of with Chris Hemsworth. I mean, his beard goes from brown to gray, and that's fine. It's just some other characters in the background. I was just kind of like, they just didn't really care or think about it, or maybe aging works differently in this world. I don't know. How are the action sequences? I really like the action sequences in this movie. There is an action sequence around the midway point, and it's a long action sequence, but it's easily the best of the entire movie. It's really thrilling. I mean, all the action sequences in this movie are really thrilling, but particularly the one towards the middle act is really riveting. I know there's an action sequence they say took about 2 months to film. I would bet money that it's the sequence that I'm thinking about. Nothing really gets quite as the level of crazy as, of course, people keep comparing the guy on the guitar in Fury Road, but it still has that chaotic Mad Max energy, and it's a lot of fun, and it's awesome to see on a huge silver screen. It's just a fun movie to watch in the theater. It is a little on the long side of 2 hours and 28 minutes, and I believe that Fury Road was under 2 hours. First original Mad Max was, and so for this world, it was the longest I've ever stayed in it. Yes, the pacing, I did feel its runtime, but I didn't ever felt that in a negative way. It felt like it was properly paced for the story it was trying to tell, and I honestly wouldn't have wanted it to be any longer or any shorter. Pacing was perfect. I didn't really think there was any issue there. All the action was fantastic. The characters were all really good. Character filmmaking perspective, they got a lot right with this movie. And if I had a nitpick, I would say that IMAX experience wasn't quite as IMAX-y as I probably wanted it to be. And when I say that, here's a good comparison. If you go to IMAX a lot, I mean like a lot as much as I do, if you look back on the trailers that you saw, the first Furiosa trailer really shook the theater. If you know, you know. If you were there, you were there. First Furiosa trailer shook the entire theater. It shook your core. Your insides are vibrating, and it was awesome. I could not wait. And the second trailer didn't do it as much, but I was like, okay, well, the first trailer still did it, so I expected that to be an IMAX. No, that was not present. Yes, it was loud, it was bassy, but not nearly to what my expectations were set for when I saw that teaser trailer. I don't even want to say, is it the IMAX experience or is it the audio mix I'm disappointed with? I really won't know until if I see the movie again in theaters, if it's like in Dolby or something, or when I get the 4K disc at home and watch it with my speakers and judge it from there. As for other nitpicks, the CGI at moments isn't the best. I mean, obviously even Fury Road had some iffy CGI moments, but this one is definitely a little bit more present. There's a lot of times in the movie where it felt definitely more stylized than anything, to the point where it's forgiven. The last thing you want to see is CGI that doesn't look like has any life. At least whenever the CGI here was not as amazing as you would want it to be, at least it still had style to it. And sometimes a lot of the shots in the trailers that didn't look great in the trailer, it looked fine in the movie, because you're immersed into this world that George Miller created, and it kind of works in context with the movie. So I think the trailers didn't help it with the CGI, but I think once I saw it in the movie, most of them were kind of like, okay, it works here. But then there was still a few shots I was like, still not very amazing looking. Another great thing about this movie is that it definitely makes Fury Road better. In fact, once as soon as I'm done recording this review and editing it, I might even watch Fury Road again because it gives you a lot of context for that movie and gives it a lot more to emotionally tackle with that movie. So I'm very curious how my view on Fury Road will change after watching this. Another small nitpick I feel like with this movie is I don't see it being the most rewatchable. It's like one of those movies, sometimes you see a movie and you're just kind of like, oh, I can watch that again right away. This was definitely a movie where it's like, I need some time again before I see it again. Even though I say it's perfectly paced for a lot of things, I don't think it's necessarily perfectly paced to go ahead and give it a rewatch. I think for a movie going experience, one that, you go once and then you go buy the disc a couple months later, it's perfect for that. But it's not one like you love it so much you see it once a week. At the end of the day, I really enjoyed this movie. It made me tired. That's a huge compliment. Like I was so drained after watching this movie. It's loud, it's fierce, it's fun, it has all the kinds of action that you ever wanted in a movie. So I had a great time with it. The score, by the way, was really good. Another thing I was also kind of disappointed with, the score in the trailer was a lot better than it was in the movie. Even though the score in the movie was also really good, it definitely maintained its energy throughout. Like it had this nice bass thump like throughout that really maintained the energy within the action sequences. And it didn't necessarily always feel like score. It had this musical like feel, but was also building in the intense atmosphere of the film, which is like everything that I could ever want in a score. But at the same time, the score in the trailer that I heard in the second one in particular, I was like, where is this? I was missing it. So there's like some things in the trailers that gave me expectations to go like, oh dang, I want this, but it never quite delivered. And that's actually all audio standpoint. There's some stuff in the score in the trailer and some stuff with how hard the bass hit in theaters. So at the end of the day, really like this movie, and I'm gonna give Furiosa 8.5 out of 10. Anyway, comment down below what you guys thought of Furiosa. Did you guys love it? How do you guys compare it to Fury Road? Did you guys see Fury Road in theaters? How was Fury Road in theaters if you guys saw it in theaters? I have a lot of questions because I feel like I'm in that unusual camp who was not quite old enough to see Fury Road when it came out, but am old enough to see Furiosa in theaters. So I'm curious to see how my views of Fury Road change after this because I always thought Fury Road was like really good. In fact, like the reason why I want to watch it again is because I feel like Fury Road was better, but at the same time, I had it at a lower score than when I just gave Furiosa. I definitely need to watch it again. So like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that, and adios.